oh, let's just browse. Let's go browsing. Wanna go browse? I'm just gonna go browse. You know, just go browse. Nope, that's done. Lock it up.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like.
Hey there, fashion friends. Welcome to the Emily Wheatley channel, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode. What is today's episode, you ask? Well, we are talking about the truth about a minimalist wardrobe. So I feel like the minimalist wardrobe, or like the minimalist approach, is sort of the hot thing right now. It's kind of trending, I feel like. For a lot of people, they don't always understand fully what a minimalist wardrobe is. I think as well as that, a lot of people don't know what they're getting themselves into. I feel like what comes with the minimalist wardrobe is this sort of romantic idea of this, beautiful, clean, super fresh sort of wardrobe that just allows for this effortless sort of styling and effortless outfits. But what I don't know if people realize is, like anything worth doing, there is a lot that goes into having a minimalist wardrobe. I think a lot of people then end up going into it with the wrong mindset, the wrong approach, and end up being frustrated and disappointed, and it sort of ruins their whole perspective on minimalist wardrobes, or just minimalism in general. It kind of puts a bad taste in their mouth, which is no good. So that is my reason behind today's video, is I would just like to go through some truths about having a minimalist wardrobe. I think it'll be great for people who are thinking about creating a minimalist wardrobe and kind of just helping them in their decision-making process on whether or not they want to move forward with it, if they really want to start putting in effort. It'll also be good for people that are just starting, who are kind of trying to get their bearings, maybe just need to know that they're not alone in this process. And as well as that, I think it'll just help people that have had a minimalist wardrobe for a long time and maybe just want to kind of recheck their priorities or recheck where they're at in the process. And maybe you're somebody that doesn't even care about minimalist wardrobes and just is curious to know what these hard truths are. Maybe it's that you want to feel good about not having a minimalist wardrobe. There you go, something for everybody, right? So before we get started, what is a minimalist wardrobe? To me, a minimalist wardrobe is just a wardrobe that is a lot more intentional, is very pared down and essential. I don't ever think, I'm one that doesn't believe that there needs to be a set number to have a minimalist wardrobe. I think it's more just the mindset and the approach that you take to your clothing, or to your closet, to your wardrobe. I was trying to avoid saying wardrobe again there, but yeah, it's unavoidable, isn't it? All right, so with that, let's get into it. Number one, it takes effort. A minimalist wardrobe takes effort. It takes a lot of effort. And I sort of like to call this the 3 rules of effort. And those 3 rules are refine, refrain, and maintain. So starting off, it's all about refinement. So decluttering, going through your wardrobe, really just kind of taking that inventory and seeing what you have, figuring out, kind of just getting to know your wardrobe all over again. Then we go into refrain, and refrain is basically referring to refraining from kind of old habits, the impulse buys, of those sort of guilty pleasure buys, that sort of thing, where you're not being super intentional and making sure that every single piece that is pulled in is going to, elevate your wardrobe versus just add to the noise. And then the third rule is to maintain. You have to consistently maintain the mindfulness of your wardrobe, so it doesn't always become another monster of a closet. Then you have to go through the whole entire process again. Truth number 2 is no more browsing. Yeah, it is a hard truth for sure. 9 times out of 10, when you do a browse, if you're just browsing, it always ends up in buying of something, whether it's like a full-on haul or just a little ring whatever it is. To me, the more you allow for yourself to have those moments, the easier it gets. And that's where you get in trouble, because then it just accumulates into the noise again. It just adds to the noise, because the browsing is ultimately going to cause impulse buys, and impulse buys can be fun every once in a while, but ultimately they're not really going to bring you the pieces that are going to sustain that joy. They're pieces that are fleeting. Usually they were bought on a whim. It's like a mate, right? Like, you don't just marry the first guy that bought you a drink at a bar. Maybe you did, I don't know. But for the most part, you're going to see something you like, you're gonna spend the time researching what they're really about, if they're quality, if they're best suited for you, if it's gonna go with everything in your life, and that's gonna be what you go with, right? Whether it's a mate or a piece of clothing. Every once in a while, if it's like a special occasion or whatever it is, yeah, do it up, browse it up. But I would just say you gotta be really careful. It's kind of a slippery slope. And I will say, as the approach becomes a lot easier and just more second nature for you too, I will say it gets a lot easier to have that willpower. And it's interesting how your perspective will completely change, because my husband and I, like I said before, we've been practicing kind of like the minimalist approach to our lifestyle in general for about 5 to 6 years. And, sometimes we're more hardcore, more cutthroat with it, and other times we're a little bit more relaxed. But for the most part, yeah, it's just been an ongoing journey. And we actually went to England the Christmas just before the pandemic, just before lockdown really happened. And we went to London and we decided, let's not do Christmas presents this year. Let's, just like allow for us to do some shopping in London. We never do that. We never just kind of go shopping and have fun with it. And the funny thing is we spent a whole day shopping on the best streets in the best stores. Our friend who is local to there took us to all the best spots. And crazily enough, we both ended up with nothing. And I think it just for me, because I kind of had separated myself from that sort of browsing experience, that going into a store just to kind of shop for fun, just to shop, for so long, it all of a sudden lost its appeal. I went into a store and I was kind of just like, meh, I don't need this, I don't need that. And unless I had a purpose for these clothes or an intention for the clothes, I didn't really see them. I didn't really see any real value in them. So it was an interesting thing, because at the time I didn't really feel like I needed anything. There wasn't really anything on my list besides that darn duster cardigan that I've been after for years. The long duster cardigan with a statement print. Still haven't found that. So it's just an interesting thing how my perspective completely changed. And same for my husband. It was just it was a very freeing feeling. So moral of that whole story, it does get easier with time. And I think the more and more you separate yourself and you change your sort of outlook on the actual shopping process, the easier it gets. And it's crazy how then your perspective sort of changes in general, and you sort of lose that temptation. So truth number 3 is you always need to be mindful. So this is where I always say, I don't take a literal sense to where I think you can only have a certain specific amount of items for a minimalist wardrobe. I think it's at whatever capacity you feel comfortable with. Maybe it's 30 pieces, maybe it's 50 pieces, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 200, maybe it's 300, whatever it is. What it boils down to is you need to be mindful of what's in your closet and know what's in your closet, what you have, what its purpose is, what its function is. But ultimately, you need to be aware of its existence. You need to be aware of every single piece's existence. And so what it comes down to with having a minimalist wardrobe is you want to be mindful about everything that's coming in. So asking those hard questions before the piece even comes home with you. What's the purpose of this within my wardrobe? What's the function? Do I actually love this on me for my style? Does it actually add to my style aesthetic, or do I just love the idea of it? So just again, asking these hard questions. So maybe you have a really small wardrobe and you can literally recite every single piece you have in your wardrobe when asked. Or maybe you have a larger wardrobe and you need to kind of take inventory and have that sort of list of, maybe it's an actual physical list that you write down in a notebook. Maybe it's that you have photos of it in like a file somewhere. Maybe it's small-ish enough where you can kind of see everything and be able to be always aware of what's in there. But just something to always know what you have. If it gets to the point where it's too overwhelming for you to keep track, that might be a sign that you have too much for your own capacity. Truth number 4 is you do not need to be a minimalist to have a minimalist wardrobe. I think it is a common misconception that people think you have to be a minimalist to have a minimalist wardrobe. I think that maybe it could lead to being a minimalist. I think some people might take on having a minimalist wardrobe and realize how nice it is and how functional it is for them, and the clarity they gain from it, and it might lead into a minimalist approach in the rest of their life. Ultimately, it just boils down, if you want a wardrobe that's more refined, more intentional, and more functional, then you should have a minimalist wardrobe. Number 5 is you gotta have the love. Having a minimalist wardrobe, I think, is very self-reflective, because you really have to look at yourself. If you don't love your style and you're not loving what you're wearing, it's very difficult to curate a wardrobe that you love. So it's an interesting thing. You've gotta love yourself, you've gotta love your style before you can even get started. Because the whole point of it is you want to have this curated collection of pieces that you absolutely love and feel the best version of yourself in. So it starts with that, really. And I think that's a hard truth for people. I don't know if people always want to admit that maybe they don't have that self-love or don't have that love for their own personal style. So if you are somebody feeling that way, I highly suggest, digging deep and finding that love for yourself and finding that love for your style. I'll link those, some videos that are good for that down below, and I'll definitely be touching on that topic more in ongoing videos as well. But once you have that established, then that's when it goes into the specific pieces. You gotta have the love for the specific pieces that you're bringing into your wardrobe, and they have to fit within that style that you love, that speaks the most to your style story, to your style aesthetic. Because then what you're creating is a wardrobe that ultimately is always building you up. It's always gonna make you feel amazing. And that's the whole point of this, is creating a wardrobe that is unfaltering. Something that is always gonna be your default, that every single morning you can go into your closet and know that you're gonna put together an outfit that you feel amazing in. Because let's be honest, when you have a crazy town type wardrobe, like I've had in the past, it's overwhelming. You would think that that would have the opposite effect when you just have all these clothes to choose from. But if they're not the clothes that you absolutely love and that are absolutely the best thing for you and your, personal style, then all they are is creating noise and confusion. So again, let's talk about the mates again. There's times where people force themselves to try to like somebody because they just really want a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And so they're just forcing it. They're just like, I'm gonna make it work. And we do that with our clothes all the time. I've totally been guilty of this, where I'm like, oh, I really wanna like these jeans, but there's something about them that aren't quite right. But these jeans are 50% off, so I gotta like them. And I make that exception and I make the compromise. And all that ends up happening is, I might have saved 50% off on these jeans, but all they're gonna do is go sit in my closet. And if I do decide to wear them, they're not gonna make me feel like the best version of myself. So what is the damn point? And truth number 6 is, it is a collection. So I always use this example, but I think it's the perfect example. Think about somebody that's an art collector. An art collector will never bring in a piece of art that they are not absolutely obsessed with. An art collector is always gonna have intention for their art collection. So whether it's that they want certain types of pieces, whether it's that they have a certain style that they like, they're never gonna buy something just because it's 50% off. They're never gonna buy something just because it was close to the register. They will always have that intention. And ultimately what ends up happening is they create this beautiful, beautiful curated collection that means a lot to them, that is specific to them, that's personal to them. And that's how I think that we should look at our minimalist wardrobe. That's how I think we should look at our wardrobes in general, is you should look at your wardrobe and think, wow, I absolutely love everything in this collection because it's personal to me and it's something that I'm in love with, that I'm obsessed with, that speaks to my style aesthetic. So that's why I like to always say it's about having that curated collection. It's about choosing pieces in a mindful way that works best for you and nobody else. Because ultimately, the only person that has to love this collection is you. All right, you guys, there we go. Those are my 6 truths of a minimalist wardrobe. Hopefully this video was helpful for you at whatever sort of level or point you are in the journey. Hopefully, you know, these truths were kind of a good insight into some of the realities. And I think it's good reminders for us, even as we get further on. If you did like today's episode, you know what to do. Give me that thumbs up, comment below, share with your friends, and subscribe for future weekly episodes. With that, have a beautiful rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay safe, love, and support each other. And we will definitely be chatting soon. Bye.